What if I told you that one of the seven wonders of the ancient world never existed? Not destroyed, not buried, never built. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon. You've seen the paintings, read the legends. Imagine the paradise hanging in the desert sky. But here's the thing. No one has ever found them. Not one brick, not one root, not one drop of evidence. And after digging through 2,000 years of lies, cover-ups, and mistaken identity, I think I know why. Stick with me, and I'll show you the truth they've been hiding. Let's start with what everyone thinks they know. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the most beautiful places ever built. Towers covered in green vines, flowers spilling down stone walls, trees growing where no trees should survive. A paradise in the middle of the desert. The story: a king named Nebuchadnezzar built it for his wife. She was homesick, missed the mountains and forests of her homeland. So he gave her a mountain, made of gardens, built in layers, rising high above the ancient city. Romantic, right? The ancient Greeks couldn't stop talking about it. Writers like Strabo and Diodorus described it in detail. The terraces, the irrigation, the miracle of water flowing upward in a land of dust and heat. It became legendary, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. But here's where it gets strange. The Greeks wrote about it, but the Babylonians didn't, not once. We have hundreds of records from Babylon, tablets, inscriptions, entire libraries carved in stone. Nebuchadnezzar loved bragging about his buildings. He listed everything: temples, walls, gates, palaces, but the gardens, not a single mention. And when archaeologists finally dug up Babylon in the 1800s, hoping to find the wonder of the world, they found nothing. So where are the Hanging Gardens of Babylon? Let me be clear. Babylon has been excavated thoroughly. For over a century, archaeologists have torn through every corner of that ancient city looking for proof, and they found nothing. No garden, no system to pump water up those massive terraces, no roots, no infrastructure, nothing that matches the descriptions. At first, people assumed it was just buried deeper or destroyed by time. But as the years went on and the digging continued, silence. Some scholars started whispering a theory no one wanted to believe. Maybe the gardens were just a myth, a fantasy invented by Greek writers who had never been to Babylon, who romanticized the East and invented a paradise that never existed. But that didn't sit right either. Because the descriptions were too detailed, too specific, they talked about engineering, about water systems, about the types of trees. This wasn't vague poetry, it was technical. So if the gardens were real, why can't we find them? That's when one researcher decided to ask a different question. What if we've been looking in the wrong place? Her name is Dr. Stephanie Dalley, an Oxford researcher who spent 20 years obsessed with one question: where are the Hanging Gardens? And in the 1990s, she found something that changed everything. She wasn't looking at Babylon. She was looking at a city 300 miles to the north, Nineveh, the capital of the Assyrian Empire. And there in the ruins, she found them. Not the actual gardens, but proof they existed. Ancient stone carvings, detailed inscriptions, and an engineering system so advanced it could make a desert bloom. Here's what she discovered. In Nineveh, there was a king named Sennacherib. He ruled about 100 years before Nebuchadnezzar. And this guy, he was obsessed with gardens. He wrote about them constantly, carved images of them into palace walls, and built one of the most advanced water systems the ancient world had ever seen. He built a 50-mile-long aqueduct to bring water from the mountains. He invented a screw pump to lift it up into terraced gardens. He planted trees from all over the empire: cedars, cypress, fruit trees, and made them grow in layers, hanging down stone walls. Sound familiar? Dr. Dalley found inscriptions where Sennacherib literally calls his creation a wonder for all peoples. She found carvings showing gardens on terraces, vines hanging down, trees rising like a mountain. She found the engineering. The Hanging Gardens weren't in Babylon. They were in Nineveh. So how did we get it wrong for 2,000 years? This is where it gets wild. The Greeks who wrote about the Hanging Gardens, most of them never visited Mesopotamia. They were writing centuries later, copying from older sources, mixing up cities and kings. And here's the thing. By the time the Greeks were writing, both Babylon and Nineveh had been destroyed. Nineveh was wiped out in 612 BC, turned to rubble and forgotten. So when Greek historians heard stories about an ancient king who built impossible gardens in Mesopotamia, they assumed it was Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon, because Babylon was the famous city, the one everyone knew. They got the gardens right. They just got the city wrong. It's like if, 2,000 years from now, people read about the Eiffel Tower, but thought it was built in London instead of Paris. Same structure, wrong city. Dr. Dalley's theory explains everything. Why Nebuchadnezzar never mentioned the gardens, why nothing was found in Babylon, why the descriptions match Sennacherib's inscriptions perfectly. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of Nineveh is gone, destroyed by time, war, and erosion. The gardens Dr. Dalley found evidence of, they're not standing anymore. The stones are scattered, the aqueducts collapsed, the terraces buried under 2,000 years of dirt. So we can't visit them. We can't take a photo. All we have are the clues. And that leads to the final question. So let's say Dr. Dalley is right, and most scholars think she is. The Hanging Gardens existed, but not where we thought. Does that change anything? For 2,000 years, people believed in a paradise built by love, hanging in the desert sky. Poets wrote about it, artists painted it, dreamers imagined walking through it. And all of that was based on a mistake. But maybe that's the point, because the truth is, the Hanging Gardens were never really about the place. They were about the idea that humans could bend nature, make the impossible real, turn a wasteland into paradise. Sennacherib did that. He built a wonder that people talked about for centuries. But over time, the story got confused, the details blurred, and the credit went to the wrong king in the wrong city. History has a way of doing that, twisting the truth just enough that we forget where it started. But here's what haunts me. If we got this wrong, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, something people studied for centuries, what else did we get wrong? How many other legends are sitting in the wrong place, credited to the wrong people, lost because we stopped asking questions? The Hanging Gardens are still out there in a way, not as ruins you can visit, but as a mystery you can solve, if you're willing to look where no one else is looking. But there's one more thing, something Dr. Dalley found that no one talks about. Sennacherib didn't just build gardens, he built them after destroying Babylon. In 689 BC, he burned the city to the ground, tore down its temples, flooded its streets. He wanted Babylon erased from history, and then he went home and built paradise. Some historians think the gardens weren't just about beauty, they were about power, a way to show that Assyria could create wonders greater than anything Babylon ever had. So maybe the Greeks gave the gardens to Babylon because they didn't want to give credit to the empire that destroyed it. Maybe the lie wasn't an accident. Maybe it was revenge. So what happened to the real Hanging Gardens? In 612 BC, Nineveh fell. Enemies surrounded the city, burned it, and left it in ruins. The aqueducts were smashed, the terraces collapsed, the gardens withered and died. Within a generation, Nineveh was forgotten. Sand covered the stones, rivers changed course, the memory faded. For 2,000 years, people searched for the Hanging Gardens in Babylon, while the real ruins sat 300 miles north, buried under dirt, waiting for someone to ask the right question. Dr. Dalley asked it. And now we know, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon never existed in Babylon, but they were real. They were built by a king the world forgot, in a city that vanished, in an empire that fell so completely that even their greatest achievement got credited to someone else. And maybe that's the most haunting part of all. You can build a wonder, but you can't control who remembers it. So that's the truth. One of the 7 wonders of the ancient world was in the wrong place the whole time, and no one noticed for 2,000 years. Makes you wonder what else we've been wrong about, doesn't it? And if you want more stories like this one, the kind you can't stop watching, hit that subscribe button, because the next secret I'm uncovering will make this one look tame.